Hello, my name is Dr. Cara Green, and I'm from the All Ireland Linguistics Olympiad from the Adapt Research Centre. I'm based in Dublin City University. I'm just going to bring you through some of the introduction slides ahead of our session that took place yesterday evening, so Monday, the 23rd of May. A couple of the slides didn't record at the start, so I just want to make sure that everyone has all the information. Okay. So the agenda for what we ran through last night was obviously welcome, and we ran a poll question with teachers. So we asked three questions. One is where they had heard about the linguistics module and their confidence in teaching linguistics at the moment, and then how likely was it that they would undertake the module. So again, a lot of people had heard about it through obviously the Post-Primary Languages Ireland. A lot of people had heard it through the All Ireland Linguistics Olympiad. A lot of people were new obviously to linguistics, and it came across that a lot of people are intending to at least have a part of the module in their schools in September. So I'm going to run through why AILO was involved, why we're involved in this linguistics module, why we want to do it. Then my colleague, Dr. Bettina Nipschild, who is a teacher in Tala Community School, she ran through the rationale for and the benefits of the linguistics module. So when I'm finished, it'll hand over to Bettina. And then it comes back to me for an overview of the 10 topics in the linguistics module. And then this is followed by Miss Wilma Slevin from Ashburn Community School, who will run through a typical topic and resources involved with that. So in this case, it's historical linguistics that Wilma goes through. So obviously you're here to hear about the linguistics module. So this is thanks to funding from Post-Primary Languages Ireland, and which we're very grateful for. And I just want to run through why, I suppose, as I said, who was on the call, Wilma, Bettina, and obviously Dr. Kenya Puig is our contact at Post-Primary Languages Ireland. And on the call also is Harold Summers, who is from the Linguistics Olympiad as well, and does a lot of the puzzles for the Linguistics Olympiad. So just one of the slides that just didn't cover last night, that didn't record last night, was just around why we're doing this, why AILO, I suppose, is involved in this. And the reason we do this is that we've been running the All Ireland Linguistics Olympiad since 2009 in Ireland. We've had over 36,000 students all over the whole island take part. We're really interested in aiming to improve the linguistics and language awareness and problem solving skills of secondary school students. So these are really key, obviously key things for life, for language learning, but also for kind of careers in language and computational linguistics and computation. So that's why we're really interested in it. What better way, I suppose, to bring in kind of more linguistics modules at transition year, so that a much wider range of students can learn about linguistics for the first time, and hopefully kind of, really kind of awaken a love of languages in them. So just about AILO, I suppose that we're really keen that everyone who takes part in the module here also takes part in the Linguistics Olympiad. So you'll see as you go through the modules that each of the topics has a related Linguistics Olympiad puzzle. And there's a massive puzzles on our website there that you can do as well. So we send out kind of free puzzles from September to January every year. Then we hold a preliminary round in all schools all over the island in January, and then we have a national final in March. So everyone is more than welcome to join us for that. And then AILO, we also do select the 4 international students who go on to represent Ireland at the International Linguistics Olympiad. The actual module then, so it's designed, as you see, as in Bettina's and in Wilma's sessions, you'll see that it's designed to be flexible to schools. So it's up to you whether you do all the topics or you just choose a few. It's also open to the whole school, so that's important. I know it is a TY kind of module, but it is open, to the whole school to use, and it's open to the whole island. As you said, we've got a lot of schools in Northern Ireland who take part in the Linguistics Olympiad with us as well, and obviously transition year doesn't exist there. So it's, this is open for everyone to use. And I know a lot of schools in the north will be using these materials. So there's about 20 hours of materials or more probably, but you can choose with what to use when you have a look and where it fits in your curriculum. So we've had a couple of questions about, does it have to fit into a short course? Does it have to fit into a particular time or a particular subject? So the answer is no, it doesn't really. I know some people are going to be using it over the full year. Others are using, might have it like 20 hours or 10 hours. So they're going to kind of pick and choose what they can do there. And then it's important that it's teacher led by a teacher who's already in the school. We'll have online training evening in September. So we're going to run this training on 2 different occasions. And also in that, it's important to say that we'll run through the linguistics, so the problem solving, so I suppose how to kind of tackle the linguistics puzzles. And we'll see when we get into topic 1 that we actually spend time there in slides with color coded, like this is how to step by step go through this, and you kind of do it together with the students. So and it's very similar to how we do it in the training, is how to attack these types of puzzles and really kind of invite the students to kind of really get involved. That's the kind of key to it. And then we're going to hopefully have a kind of a social media group, so maybe a Facebook group, so for groups and queries. Once you get going in September, very happy for you to I'm very happy to be involved in that and input into that. I just think one of the questions that came up last night, which you'll hear in the session, is when the materials will be available. So I think it's important to mention it here. So everything will be available for the start of the school year, kind of, I suppose, the end of August, start of September, for you on the Post-Primary Language Ireland website. Okay, and then I'm going to hand over to Dr. Bettina Nipschel from last night, who's going to talk about the rationale for and benefits of the module. Thank you.
Linguistics during transition year. Now, this might lead then to a more informed choice about their subject choices in senior cycle and beyond. So now, linguistics is really the scientific study of language. It is concerned with questions such as how it is structured, how it is acquired as a first language or learned as a second language, how it changes over time, and how it is used in context, and so on. So if you look at the following diagram, hold on, yeah, could you, yeah. If you look at the diagram that I put up here, you can see, the different variety of the variety of disciplines that are related to linguistics. Now we have the core properties here of languages, the speech sounds and the rules and patterns between them, which we refer to as phonetics and phonology. We have the words and sentence structures, which we call morphology and syntax, and then we have the meaning, semantics. So those are the kind of really the core properties of language. And then we also have the areas of linguistics that border on a broad range of disciplines. So for example, the area of language acquisition is closely related to psychology, historical linguistics is related to history. So you can see how, you could look at how have certain historic events influenced the evolution of certain languages, for example, pidgins and creoles and so on. Cara, if we could move on now to the next slide. Yeah, so we can look at what are the general benefits of the study of linguistics for our students? And first, I would mention the study of linguistics will lead to an increased awareness about language in general. It will broaden students' perception of what the study of language entails beyond the MFL classroom. It will also inform them of the opportunities that knowledge and study of foreign languages offer. So this in turn will hopefully encourage more students to take up foreign languages in senior cycle. And as we will see later on, that's one of the core goals of the government's languages strategy. Now, furthermore, an introduction to the core principles of linguistics. So those would be like phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, meaning. It will improve MFL learning in general. So students will develop an increased awareness of the phonology, the pronunciation, the structures of words and sentences, and so on. They will be introduced to formal terminology to describe linguistic properties, and they will also be equipped with tools to analyze language. So they will learn about the international phonetic alphabet. They will learn about grammatical categories and so on. So they will be able to compare their native language with their chosen MFL and gain an awareness of how they are similar and how they differ. Now, students studying linguistics will also improve their reading and writing skills. They will learn to analyze more complex English sentences. They will become aware of, structures like passives and cleft sentences, and they will be able to use this more effectively in different communicative situations. Now, the study of linguistics also leads to better cross-cultural understanding. Now, cultural competence, of course, is very important in succeeding in an increasingly globalized world. A raised awareness of the linguistic diversity improves tolerance. So from a linguistic point of view, all languages are equal. There's no reason why one language should be valued higher than another. Those are social issues. Now, students will become aware of the rich linguistic environments in their schools. So I think that's a very important point. And again, yeah. So now, Cara, can we move on to the next? Yeah. So apart from these general advantages, the study of linguistics also develops students' very specific skills. And if you can see here, the first one that I mentioned is data gathering. So when you look at other science subjects, such as biology, chemistry, physics, often you need some very complex, experimental setups. Now with language is all around us, and students will learn to observe what's around them, what they can kind of compare, and it's quite easy to actually gather empirical evidence. Now they will develop their data analysis skills. They will develop pattern recognition skills. Now with that, I mean, for example, if you learn, they will learn to find patterns in data sets from familiar and unfamiliar languages. And that's what the linguistics, the Aloy puzzles are about. Take, for example, the past tense in English. Yeah, so most verbs will be formed by like played, whatever, you add the ed. So students will learn to recognize these patterns. Then the next step is to formalize linguistic facts into rule-based generalizations. So that would mean that they understand, or they work out that to form the past tense in English, you have to add ed to the verb stem. And then, of course, you have always contradictory items that don't follow the pattern, and they need to be accommodated within your generalizations. So that would enhance students' problem-solving skills. So in case of our past tense, you could say that the regular forms are formed by the rule, add ed to the stem, and then the way linguists deal with the irregular forms, they would be stored as a list. And I think if we compare this, I'm sure if we have maths and science teachers amongst us, I think the kind of way that you work out, that you use these skills is very similar. So now, apart from the problem-solving skills, you have summary and representation of information in the form of visually friendly diagrams. So you need to be able to represent your findings, and then statistical analysis and evidence-based reasoning and critical thinking. Now, by that, I mean, of course, you need to be able to question certain assumptions and determine whether they have any scientific validity. Okay, now you can be a linguist, of course, without speaking any foreign languages. They're linguists who only know their native language. In order to teach this module, you don't necessarily need a background in linguistics or language teaching, as Cara already pointed out. So if you're a maths or science teacher, you will be familiar with similar pattern finding and problem solving principles. Mathematics, after all, just like linguistics, is an abstract representation of a problem. Now, although I would like to stress, of course, that it is a known fact that knowledge of more than one language enhances critical thinking and problem solving. And this is the message that we would actually like to impart to students. And this is also the message that is at the heart of the government's foreign languages strategy. So if we look at the 4 goals, and yeah, we have them up there. If we look at the 4 goals of this strategy, it becomes clear that the TY Linguistics module is an important step towards implementing the languages strategy. Yeah, so we have to improve language proficiency by creating a more engaging learning environment, diversifying and increasing the uptake of languages learned, and cultivate the languages of the new Irish, increasing awareness of the importance of language learning to encourage the wider use of foreign languages. And the last one, which is really important, enhance employer engagement in the development and use of trade languages. And I think the kind of skills that students learn in this TY module are some of the most sought after skills by employers today. And I think the TY Linguistics module ticks all these boxes. So yeah, okay, I'm going to hand back to you then, Cara.
Thank you so much, Bettina. That was brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for going through all that. So just before I run you through kind of briefly what's involved in each of the 10 topics within the module, and then Wilma will go through historical linguistics just to get give you an idea of what the resources look like. I had an issue just with the recording, so I'm not sure if it recorded from the start of the one. So I just wanted to repeat for the recording, I suppose, for later, is just about the topics again. So it was around 20 hours of materials. And so it's 10 topics, and that we're very flexible with schools in terms of, if you can't fit kind of all of it, or if you could fit it over a longer time, that we're really flexible to how you fit it in, and you can fit into any subject. And again, that everyone is welcome to take the materials. I said we're all island, and a lot of people aren't, you don't have transition year, so it's really what works for you in school. So I just wanted to record that just to make sure people got that message. Okay, so in terms of the topics then, topic 1 then, so it's an introduction. So it's, what does language and linguistics mean to the students? What do they know about it already? So introduction to the areas of linguistics that we're going to obviously cover in the module. Looking at linguistics as a science, as Bettina outlined there. And then how to actually go about solving linguistics puzzles. So as a part of the training that we'll do in September, we'll show you kind of how to go through a linguistics puzzle with the students. So actually this topic is a step-by-step, coded how to solve a puzzle on slides with students. And that's what you do actually in the first module. So it's really there, and it's kind of describes how to do it for you. And then the students will try an introductory linguistics puzzle for this. And comparing and contrasting two similar languages so that they can see the patterns in them. Topic 2 then, sociolinguistics. So it's an introduction obviously to sociolinguistics, which is concerned with the relationship between language and society. And it focuses on accent, dialect and register. And then in this one, they have a look at Cameroonian Pidgin English, which is really interesting language for the linguistics puzzle in sociolinguistics. In topic 3 is phonetics then, so obviously how humans produce and perceive sounds. And in this one, the students get to go and kind of they're put into pairs. They get to try out the places of articulation in the mouth. And then they also do try, they can write their name and school and things like that in the International Phonetic Alphabet. So they'll get a go at that. And then also it's a good opportunity, for, as you said, the different languages in the classroom. So to look at, what languages you speak at home or what languages you're learning in school, to be able to use the alphabet for that as well. And then the puzzle for this one is a speech therapy articulation test. So it's a speech therapist, and it's an articulation test of a little boy with a speech delay. So it's a really kind of hands-on, this is an area of, linguistics being used in real life with students. Topic 4 then is historical linguistics. So Wilma is going to bring you through this one in a moment. But again, it's around, the language, European language trees, language change, and then a kind of related linguistics puzzle, Ye Olde English, which shows kind of language change over time. So, but Wilma will come back to this one. Topic 5 then, it's writing systems. So types of writing, what is a writing system? Have the students ever heard of, the oldest kind of writing system in Ireland, which is Olmstone's, and about the direction from top to bottom, that kind of thing. And actually, so in that module, they have kind of little translation exercises. There's an opportunity to do a project and to do a poster on, you know, on an Ohm stone in your county, for example, to get out there. And then the puzzle is a runic alphabet puzzle, which is Elder Futlark. It's a linguistics puzzle again on a writing system, which is a really fun puzzle for the writing systems, and students usually enjoy having a go at a good new writing system that they've never seen before. Topic 6 then is language acquisition and second language acquisition. So again, an intro. It focuses on the critical period in language acquisition, and then the students learn about how language acquisition is rule-based. And then one of the puzzles on adjectives is we are all modalistic in a way. So students kind of get to see a puzzle related to this. And then finally, it looks at the different cognitive processes, so the change. So as Bettina said, the change, you know, the difference between like first language acquisition and second language acquisition in this one. Topic 7, morphology. So it's unlocking the structures and meanings within words. So this is very important, obviously, when we're going on to learn new languages. And this focuses on inflectional versus derivational morphology, and the students get a chance to do a puzzle on inflectional, an exercise on inflectional morphemes. So this very much continues on from the topic 6, language acquisition. Topic 8 then is syntax. Again, so it's introduction to kind of, you know, syntax, so phrases, clauses, and structures. They'll actually have a go at kind of doing the tree structure in syntax and phrase structure rules. And again, they'll do a linguistics, you know, a kind of a related syntax puzzle in linguistics for this module. Psycholinguistics then, topic 9. So again, an introduction, psychological processes involved in language. And in this one, we're going to look at specific language impairments. Obviously, there's a lot in psycholinguistics in kind of language acquisition, but we've covered that. So we're looking here around specific language impairment and things like Williams syndrome and the double association there between language and cognition. So again, kind of language in the brain and how, you know, how we all come to it differently. So that'll be an interesting topic, I think, for the students to cover. And then finally, kind of, I suppose one of the research areas from our research center in ADAPT is machine translation. So again, it's something like Google Translate, but better. So it's like the difference between human and machine translation, looking at the biases maybe that we bring into machine translation as humans. So we all kind of have this sort of inherent bias, and this comes through, you see. And so it's about showing the students, I suppose, the difference between the human and the machine translation, and also that your teacher knows when you use Google Translate for your homework. So that'll be an interesting one for them to look at. And like, why is that? Like, why is it fairly obvious when you see a kind of a Google translated piece of work? And a lot of that is to do with, you know, multiple meanings for a word. So what the linguistics puzzle here is about word sense disambiguation, so about multiple words or multiple meanings for a word. So for example, pen. So you could have, you know, a children's playpen, you have your pen in your hand, you've got a pen, penitentiary, jail. So, you know, these are things that machine translation struggle with. So we're going to have a look at that in this module as well. Okay, so that is the overview, very quick fire overview of the 10 topics. So I'm going to stop sharing. Do we have any questions at this point? I just have a quick look in the chat. Oh, someone has problems with audio there. No, I don't see any other questions. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions at this point, I'll just hand over to my colleague, so to Will Slevin, who's going to take us through the historical linguistics module, or a brief overview.
Hi everyone, lovely to have so many of you here tonight. So my background is in Spanish mostly, but I've also been involved with linguistics for quite a while. My interest first actually piqued meeting somebody on the school bus. I think I was going into 5th year, so it would have been around like the TY going into 5th year, and I got chatting to a girl who said that she was going to UCD to go and linguistics and French or something, and I'd never heard of the word at that stage, but I was just really intrigued, started looking into it, and then that led me to go to college and to do linguistics as part of my degree and my master's as well. Now, not a full degree or master's in linguistics, but also it has piqued it. And then obviously being involved with Spanish as well, with languages, it's all very much part of that. So what I'm going to show you is just like an overview of an example of one of the modules that we are looking at, or that you can do in September. I am very aware of the challenges that transition year have, and on timetabling and on scheduling and things like that. So with this here, as Cara said already, we're very flexible on the material and how much of it you use and what parts of it what you use. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you over the resources that we have. We're going to give you over an outline. We're going to give you over, you know, backgrounds to it, maybe PowerPoints, maybe links to other extension activities. And then as a teacher, you can go and decide yourself, well, what works for you? I mean, maybe you have a 40-minute class, 3 times a week. Maybe you have one 1-hour class in the week. Maybe you have 2, you know, it all depends. And then also the challenges of TY students actually being in class. So maybe you don't want to move on to a new topic because you know that half of them are out. So there might be some extension activities that you could just do with them to cover, you know, that class. Or equally, maybe you have some, you know, maybe you do set homework, or maybe you have some challenges or projects or things that you can set. So you should be able to see now this overview and introduction into historical linguistics. So you'll get one of these for each subject, just giving an outline of the learning intentions, the resources that you're going to need or use for that, an expected time, and then looking at maybe areas that it links in with across the board. So obviously we're doing historical, or we're looking at historical linguistics at the moment, and that links into so many things. And I think one of the reasons why I particularly am drawn to this here, it's all about kind of like that connection. And one of the things that throughout my classes, teaching Spanish or whatever, it's always trying to get the students to connect it to something else, be it to Spanish, be it to another heritage language in school, and even just to start, so that they start looking at languages and see patterns and see like going, oh, okay, well, if it's this word, this looks like this word that I already know, how could I kind of manipulate that to figure out what it means? And it's once you kind of bring that kind of connection and they feel that they know a little bit of the background of things, it does help them with their you know, with their language interest and their language learning. So for the first activity, so there's going to be like basically like 3 lessons kind of per module as such. One of the lessons is more like a linguistics puzzle that we mentioned. But for this first lesson, historical linguistics, so I would start off with a pre-activity. And it's going to be giving, in this case, some questions about languages, and then they'll answer them. Now, I am going to show you the PowerPoint in a second, which will go through these. But again, it's just to give you the idea of the outline task. And then there's some extension activities there from a Quizlet I've created, from a Kahoot I've created, or also a poster. I've done this in the past with Linguistics TY Module in TY years ago. I did it over a number of years, and I've actually got a few of these posters still up on my walls today. It's a great way, again, for other students to see the link between languages and things like that. So as I say, this is the overview of the first lesson. Okay, so I'm now going to go and share my PowerPoint now with you. If I get the right one. So this here is, again, what the PowerPoint will look like. Okay, we may change things slightly. That is one of the things that we're going to say to you, like the format of these modules at the moment, and obviously the layout, that is the format, sorry, the content as well will slightly change as we kind of tidy it up and edit it over the next while. But again, it's just to give you an idea. So with the lessons, all of them, you want to get the students talking. You want to get them interested in language. You want to get them involved. So it's not you standing up at the top of the, you know, the desk or whatever and teaching, or just standing there, you know, lecturing or whatever on this. Okay, so even though you may or may not have much experience with linguistics, with the use of the resources that we give you, be it the PowerPoint, you know, a few notes that might be with the PowerPoint or with the worksheets, you should have enough there to be confident enough to just let the students chat, let them debate, let them, you know, give their opinions and, you know, ideas back to you. And if you don't know if something is right, well, that's fine. You say, okay, that's a great one. We'll look at that again. Or do you know what? Listen, this is my first year doing this as well. And what, you know, let's go and investigate this together, or, you know, whatever it may be. So if you even take a look at these questions, have you answered them all yourselves? Do you know how many languages are spoken in the world? What was the first spoken language? Where do all languages today come from? And even if we had no answer, like even if we did not, or you did not know the answer to any of these here, isn't it not just great to get the students into the topic and just speaking about it, okay, and let them figure out themselves what these answers are. So, I mean, depending on what resource you look at, it could be anywhere between 4,000 and 7,000 languages spoken today, which is a huge amount. You could even get the students to think about, well, how many languages do they know? Like, they might think there's 50 languages. So a lot of them will think of European languages, maybe some African languages, Indian languages, but whenever you start adding them all up, they would never think that there's so many languages. And again, it's just to show them that wealth of linguistic variety in the world. So we're looking at the first spoken language. Where do they all come from? Which language did Irish originate from? Surprisingly, a lot of them will think Irish and English are related, that they are the same, that they come from the same background languages. And whenever they realize that they're coming from two distinct linguistic branches, it becomes really interesting then. And also it leads them maybe sometimes to see their Irish in a little bit different kind of light. So moving on from this here, these questions and answers, sorry, I don't have the answers into this here right now, but this first spoken language, I mean, there are no definite, we've no physical evidence of any of these languages, but what we are looking at are reconstructed languages, and that's what we'll be looking into particularly, are the reconstructed language called Proto-Indo-European language, which is where a lot of our European and Indian languages obviously come from. So again, some other questions just to get the students going. What links one language to another? You know, again, you don't have to even show them the answers to this first. It's just to get them interested, okay? So think about the sounds, the words, the grammar, and then what was the reason for languages breaking away from the original source? So again, it's you putting the question onto them. Let them answer you back, okay? And if you don't have a very chatty class, why don't you use something like Mentimeter or the poll or anything like that, so that they can start messaging their answers, you know, like just if they're not going to verbalize them very clearly to you. Okay, you don't need to go into any of these particular you know, answers here, but they're just ideas. There are many, many, many more reasons obviously why languages break away, but this is also one of the main reasons, or many of the main reasons why. So we think about that. So then we're looking at groups of languages within the Proto-Indo-European family. And we have the following 9 language groups all belong to the one language family, okay, which is the Proto-Indo-European family. There were a few other language family groups where there's no language, no current living language left today. So we're only going to go with the ones where there actually are languages spoken today. These are the languages that we have again, and then there's a worksheet, okay, where students are given a worksheet that they have to figure out which words are similar depending on the words that they're looking at, okay? So you can see here Gaelic and Manx are actually from the Celtic languages. So even though I doubt any of us here know any Manx at all, there are some similarities there that you can see. And in fact, you will find as well that the words mother and father, numbers maybe 1 to 10, especially the first few numbers, 1, 2, 3, those words that are like every language, every culture will have those languages. They're the most interesting words to compare, but rather than, you know, choosing a word like table, for example, because maybe not everywhere has a table. I don't know. So, you know, it's something to look at. So if I go in then to show you the worksheet then that the students have on that, if I just open it up here myself. And of course, I have it shut down. And not. Okay, I'll see if I can get back up and I'll just continue on with that. So the idea is that the students are able to, as I say, they're able to go and, you know, figure out themselves what are the groups of languages. And I'm just going to go on with the PowerPoint because I know we've lots of time to kind of keep to, we've lots of things to get through, sorry, not lots of time. But there is a worksheet on that. It's quite clearly laid out, and you can see where there are the similarities, but you will be given the answers to that as well. So just so that you're aware of that. And again, it's an activity that the students can do in pairs, maybe in small groups, and start figuring it out. A good way to figure out connections is maybe to highlight the ones that they see. There is another activity, again, on language families, and basically they use the language connections provided to figure out, like, so if I say that Irish Gaelic and Manx are related, and then further down the line, Manx and Breton are related, and then Breton and Scottish Gaelic are related, they will have to just kind of find the patterns and bring them back together again on that. Okay, so that is just the idea there on the first lesson. As I say, the extra activities that you can do on that, okay, are things that we're looking at for, I have a nice little Quizlet. That's a Kahoot. Sorry, we'll go to the Quizlet instead. Okay, so I'm sure many of you, particularly if you're language teachers, you've used Kahoot, or not Kahoot, sorry, Quizlet. So I'll not go into it in a huge amount of details. Not every module will have a Kahoot or a Quizlet per se, but again, it's an idea that we can create. Okay, so what I did was I put all the languages that we've been covering into the Quizlet with their language family there, and then they can do everything from, you know, here's like a little learn activity, and you can find out Irish, which one is that? You type in Celtic, answer, okay, and they get that right. Scottish is Celtic as well. Like, there's different things that you can do there, and that, okay, these are all the Celtic ones first, okay, but again, as an idea of something that you can do. With the second lesson that we're looking at language change, focusing primarily on English for this, but it doesn't mean to say that you can't look at language change in Irish or in any other language that you may be using. And it's always really, really good to bring in the heritage languages that are in your class, okay? So basically, we're going to look at the Lord's Prayer in Old, Middle and Modern times. And by using YouTube, I have links here to them. I just don't know if I have time to go into them at the moment. So basically, you just go and maybe play a little bit of the Lord's Prayer, and then even just get the students, don't tell them that it's the Lord's Prayer, just get them to listen to it, ask some, you know, questions about it, you know, things like, what does this sound like? Where, you know, what language do you think it is? You know, all these different ideas, just again, as I said, to get it going, to get them interested in it. Okay, and then once that is done, you might show them the text. Okay, so I'll just share now, sorry, the second PowerPoint with you. Okay, so what causes a language to change? Again, there was your questions to get them, you know, to get them thinking again. Oops, go back up to that. So that would have been like the kind of pre-questions, again, which will be on the worksheet. It's on the PowerPoint in detail. Get the talk going, and then you can move on to the actual activities. So, yeah, a little bit more about, I was looking through it, a little bit more about the language change. And then if we just even went into a video clip, rather than, as I say, showing them the video, and rather than, it's not going to let me open, yeah, rather than you telling them exactly what it is, let them guess, you know what I mean? Like, let them figure it out. So I'm going to play a little bit of this here, and you're going to listen to it, and just think about it as well. What sort of sounds, like, what do you think this sounds like? You know, just to show you again of how this could be.
Siadra thratum, monigum maithum meldosetla of teach, ezo de erlas, sith an arist worth felshaft fun.
Okay, so I've realized I've opened up Beowulf for you rather than the old Lord's Prayer, but that was the other option that was there. So again, just for them to see like the links and the connections to that. And then if we go through, then there is an activity where they then, once you've listened to maybe the old, maybe the middle, and get them to figure out, well, what is the, you know, what is the link with all of these here, then you would come in and show them the text now, okay? And that's what we'll do with that. So I'll just go back now and share the PowerPoint again, sorry, with you. So that's an idea of what you can do, as I say, with listen to these, what language you think it is, what does it sound like, do you recognize any words, etc. And then we go through the worksheet, which is the Old Middle and Modern English. There are some questions on their worksheet, which you will also have, but you will also have the answers to these. Okay, so don't be worrying about that you have to kind of figure all this out yourself. And then just a little bit of information about Old English, you know, some characteristics. You can get the students to maybe take note of these. Again, put this into a project, even if, you know, where the information would be. And then Middle English. And then the last thing we are going to share with you is oh yeah, there was a Kahoot on this, which I don't need to go in and show you, but it was just to give you an idea of some of the things on that. And then the last thing, which was the Old English problem that Cara had mentioned, which was the ALO competition puzzle. So this is like a puzzle that you would do. Again, this could be something done in class, it could be done for homework, it could be done as a project, whatever way you want it. These are the puzzles that we do all the time for the ALO competition, which Cara has mentioned already. And the idea is that they're given this Old English with Modern English, and the students have to come up and pick out patterns and things like that. Now, with the training in September, we will go through things like this to get, you know, like Cara is going to go through some of the sample puzzles to show you how to approach them, what they look like. The PowerPoints and all the resources will be available for you in September. We're still finalizing them all at the minute, but I know somebody did mention in the chat where they were available. They're not quite at the moment, but they will be. So there you can see, I'm going to stop now, I've been on long enough, some of the ideas of what a module can look like. You'll see there's a source or a wealth of resources for the module, way more than 2 hours to be honest, but you can pick and choose. Okay, you don't have to do every activity. You don't have to do the Kahoot, although it is a lot of fun. My students actually enjoy doing it. You know, you pick and choose. Your module might be longer than 10 weeks. Maybe it's a full year module, or maybe it's shorter, or whatever way it is. So it is flexible. All of these resources are for you to pick and choose what suits you and what interests you and your students as well. Okay, so thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Wilma. That's brilliant. Thanks very much. Yeah, as you said, I think there was a couple of questions there. Actually, just got to go back. So as you said, so Patrick said, now somebody said, will the resources be ready for in time for the beginning of the year? So yeah, so we are. So what we're doing is we're handing over. The resources are going to be put up on the PPLI, so that the Post-Primary Languages Ireland website over the summer. So I know that that is kind of a piece of work that's going to be taking place sort of in July, August. So the idea is that they'll have them all up there for the start of the year. And then, as you said, we'll have the kind of training session in the evening to be able to kind of go through those materials with you again. And again, they'll be recorded, and we'll probably split them out into modules as well. So if you're kind of like, oh, I'm going to go do the historical linguistics one, you can kind of watch the training on that one. We'll be back in class last week of August. Yeah, that's fine. I think that'll be fine, because the PLI will have the materials before that, so it'll be up. Where are these workshops available? Same thing. So I suppose they'll be on the Post-Primary Languages Ireland site. They'll be handing over, and there it's up to them kind of to put it up over July, August. Joanna Crook, yeah. So Mount Temple. Oh, my screen is popping. Can anybody see what Joanna's question is there?
Yeah, so Joanna was just wondering, what topics would you recommend if you have a module that lasts 8 weeks? So it's going to be 10 hours.
Yeah, so like really depends. Do you know what I mean? Because it really depends what you like in there. Because some people might really like to do the sort of syntax morphology type ones, and some other group might be more interested in, like I find, you know, we in ALO we have a lot of kind of maths teachers as well, and I find some of they kind of spend more time on the kind of puzzles. Well, but you might be more interested in the historical linguistic side or the sociolinguistics. So it really depends what you like, but you know, but there is enough there that you could kind of pick and choose from. Joanna, yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't know what to.
Yeah, I would just add into that, Joanna, is just maybe like you pick what I'd say, use some of the easier or softer topics, maybe just even to begin with. It doesn't mean to say that you can't bring in psycholinguistics or syntax or something like that a little bit in, but you might not delve into syntax for your very first lesson because you might lose the students. But if you've kind of got them warmed up over a few weeks and learning all about a bit about the history, maybe a bit about the sounds, a bit about sociolinguistics or whatever it is, when you come to that, you know, that might work. Because if you say, oh, we're going to do you know, a full week on grammar, yay, like they're not going to be interested in that. So you pick and choose, you think of the students in front of you, maybe even why don't you put a poll up with the students and just see what their preferences are. Doesn't mean to say you have to follow that, you know, you are the teacher, but that is an idea for you to think about for that. And then Cara, do you see the last question come through?
Yeah. So would 3 by 40 minute class a week work, or would one double and a single be better? You know, it depends. I mean, again, either would work really, but, you know, I think some, you know, it might work well to say have kind of your 2 topics in your 2 40-minute classes, and then you could have your puzzle for either homework or that third class. Or if you were going with the double, you could kind of get through a lot of the kind of class work there, and the single then for the puzzle. It would work either way, really.
I think so as well, because like what we tend to do in our school for languages would be a double class and a single class, but maybe for this we're only going to have one double. So like it really depends on what you're doing. But what you could do as well is that, like, even though there are, you know, 2 kind of distinct lessons and then the puzzle, even within those 2 distinct lessons, it doesn't mean to say that you couldn't pull an activity from the next, you know, from the next lesson into it, because it all links in. Or you could link it back to a previous one. So to be honest, it's your preference. How do you find things in school with 3 40-minute lessons? I mean, the first 5-10 minutes of them just getting settled, and then, you know, you've only half an hour then to work with. So would you prefer to have at least an hour to kind of go at it? It's up to you, really.
Yeah. And then just another question. Let me see, where was it? What I think it was on the age group. Sorry,
Okay, I haven't seen the age group ones.
So from what age do you think the module will be suitable? Could it work for a whole school linguistics club? Yes, I do think so. So I know from ALO that we have a lot of schools who have linguistics clubs kind of at lunchtime or after school. And they're very much kind of the whole school. And it was very difficult for in COVID actually to get all the groups together. But no, I do think this would work for that, because it's really just it is really a general introduction, and then we're trying to take care in the puzzles that we pick that they are introductory to the topic as well, and they're not, you know, overly complicated. And then because there's kind of more resources there, I think that kind of older age groups, you could kind of do more with them, you know, or kind of, and I said, there's a suite of puzzles on the linguistics website you could do as well, you know. But no, I think this could work well.
Yeah, and I'd even say, like, I've actually done an introductory module with first years back in the day when we were looking at short courses. So like some of the materials, obviously they wouldn't be the same as what they are now, but like the same idea was there, that you have to simplify them, and you can't expect necessarily the same kind of debate necessarily going from them, but you know, they're definitely capable of it. It's just how you present it. So you can have the exact same resources, and it's what you do with it. And then, as Cara said, you can just kind of alter and differentiate your resources or the activities that you're doing with it. And somebody asked, would 1 hour class once a week for the full year, would you get the entire course finished? Listen, you can make it as long or short as you want, to be honest, because if you are interested in the subject, first of all, if you get your students into it, you can really flesh out each of those modules. And I have done that as well. I've done a full year module. I've done a part year module. I did a short course with it, just trying it out in school. Again, not this material that we have now, but I still managed to come up with something. So I do think it's reasonable to have 1 class for the year and be able to keep with the 10 course modules, and just kind of fleshing them out would definitely work. That was one question.
Yeah, and then do the students get a certificate upon completion of the modules? Yes, so we'll provide certificates. Yes, for students who take part in the in the topics and the modules. Is it possible to have this part of the language class, i.e. the regular German or French class, or is it recommended to have it as a standalone module? So I have heard from teachers that they're doing both. So I know some people are fitting it into a short course, and some people have been given a TY module for the year and they're fitting it in there. But other people have said, okay, I'm doing French and I've got, like, you know, I kind of actually think maybe 10 hours or something, you know, in a particular semester. They were wondering, could that fit there? So I think it is possible to have it as part of the language class, but then again, I'm not a language teacher, so Will, but what do you think?
Again, I have done this as well. I tried it out. What I just found then was, you know, the way yourself with TYs in and out, if you've that one class in the week, right, where you're doing this here, and then sure, half of them are in, half of them are out, you go to the next week, another few are out. So like what you've done, it's very hard to get continuity. And then on the other side is with your language, like, I mean, you really want to try and TY as well to maintain that and even build on and revise what they've done in the junior cycle. So I have done it. It depends on your group and depends how you do TY. In our school, they've just so many workshops and activities. I personally would hate to have it for just one class, even though I know we're going to get it for one double class, but at least there's a little bit more of a chance. And yeah, anyway, so no, it is doable. You make it work. You won't be able to get half the things done, but sure, that's grand. You're just introducing it. And it's, you know, getting them to connect learning or languages and their interest in language learning, full stop. And they don't have to be good at languages to find an interest in linguistics.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so there was a comment there from one of the teachers said, we're sharing French and Spanish, the TY modules together with all TY students, so we're planning to fit it together. So yeah, exactly, yeah, this works. To receive a certificate, do students have to upload a portfolio of work? We hadn't planned to do that, but I think it was more kind of if your students have taken part that, you know, that you can just kind of submit the names to us just to make sure we get the right names for the certificates, I think.
But it is not necessarily on us, but on the school side as well. Like every school does it differently. But this would be a really brilliant way if you do credits or, as you say, a portfolio or an interview at the end of TY. Like this here, it's something that's different. It is interesting. There's enough material where each student should be able to find something that interests them. And this could be, you could like say, well, they're going to create a portfolio, and it doesn't have to be a paper portfolio. It can be an online portfolio of what they've learned or of the activities that they've done throughout this. And, you know, hand that in, and that could be your project, or that could be something towards their end of year interview. You know, lots of things you could do with it.
Yeah. Just we'll do one final question here because it's just nearly 8 o'clock, so we need to finish up. But we do a languages module in TY, as not all students do a language in junior cert. We have two hours a week for languages, so I'm hoping to do it as part of that. Okay. Yeah. That's it's a great opportunity.
I actually did it with a group one year, and they were all the students in TY that didn't study a language. I was given, and the linguistics, and these were kids that went into, some of them into LCA, some of them hadn't done a junior cycle language at all, like they'd never even done a few months of a language. And again, they found areas, you know, things that they were interested in. Surprisingly, things like sociolinguistics was really, really popular with them. Maybe looking a little bit at, you know, some of the other, actually historical ones, surprisingly. I think it was they were getting all this connection. You see, they do know that it's history, it's school, it's what they know about learning about things. So
yeah. It's great. Okay, I think that's all the questions, guys. So just like to thank you all for your time today and coming along, and I hope you found it useful. Just want to thank Wilma, thank you very much, and Bettina, thank you so much for your input and obviously all your work so far. And I don't think we've any other things. So yeah, just to say thank you very much for coming. And we're going to make the recording from when it started available to you. And and that will, you know, I know there'll be a bit of a kind of an awareness campaign kind of happening again over the summer in terms of kind of the promotion of when the materials are out there. So you should hear it. And you guys are probably you're all on the mailing list. So you'll be the first to hear when those materials are up. So you get to have a look at them, you know, hopefully just before school starts. So you'll be able to come along to the training then as well. So thank you very much. Lovely comments in the chat. Thank you very much to you all. And so we'll leave it there. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks a million. Bye.
Yeah,
have a good end of year. Bye. We're nearly there.
Yeah. Enjoy the break.
See you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, guys.